A weak summer has taken its toll on most air cooling solution companies. Blue Star might not be too different. The air conditioner maker saw its sales drop in the April to June quarter. The immediate future for the space may not look too encouraging if brokerages are to be believed. Amber Enterprises, remember, yesterday told us that they expect demand to pick up only at the fag end of the year. So will it prompt one of the country's largest air conditioner companies to shift focus to some of the other products like waters and air purifiers? Joining us now to talk about the outlook is Mr. B Thiagarajan. He's Joint Managing Director at Blue Star. Mr. Thiagarajan, good having you. Thanks so much for joining in. Now, I know that if I look at your bottom line numbers, if I look at your EBITDA numbers and margin numbers, you did much better than some of the others. But let's start off by talking about how the bread and butter, which is the top line performance was. It was flattish for you. It came off for a lot of other companies as well, clearly showing that it was a weak April to June quarter, maybe due to unseasonal rains, maybe due to a shorter summer as well. How do the next 3 quarters now look like?
Good morning. Thank you for talking to me. If one is in this business of air conditioning, specifically room air conditioners, there could be bad summers. So it was unfortunate that this summer was weak. But I must tell you that the consumer spending continues to be encouraging. June was a good month. July we had seen market growing compared with the previous year. And I don't know about the industry. As far as Blue Star is concerned, July we registered significant growth. I look forward to the festival season. I think if the consumer spending story, as is the case in automobiles and many other categories, if it is going to continue, I think even the festival season should do well. Why I am saying this is because of 2-3 reasons. Number one, our penetration in India is very poor and it is less than 5%. It is bound to grow. This is a category which many households do not possess. After refrigerators, washing machines, two-wheelers, four-wheelers, eventually people end up buying air conditioners. It is the right time for this category to grow. Second thing is water purifier business. This is the season. That is, we call this as Holi to Diwali product, where the market is doing extremely well. We are a new entrant. It is the question of improving our market share and building scale. That part of the business is doing extremely well at this moment. The third thing is the inquiry inflows in large corporate, commercial, industrial, air conditioning business is very, very encouraging. After many years, we are witnessing inquiry inflow in a very large way. So therefore, that part of the business also should pick up momentum. That is a segment 1 in the case of Blue Star. So therefore, while a weak summer is something which is unfortunate, it is fine. But going forward, we are optimistic about the outlook.
Interesting. I just want to break that down into the 2 or 3 points that you mentioned as well. I heard you mention that July was a very good month for you. May not have been for the industry, but you don't have data there. We've done about 20 days of August as well. Are we to assume that the first half of this current quarter, you've seen recovery compared to the June quarter, and a meaningful one at that?
Yes, in terms of volumes, yes. In terms of revenue, yes. In terms of margin, the rupee weakening as well as commodity prices, copper is coming under control. To some extent, there may be a margin pressure, but there is, I would say, first half of second quarter has been well. But I must caution one more thing. The Onam actually sets the festival season on. And you can imagine Kerala Onam will be subdued this time due to the floods. And therefore, that Onam sale push may not happen at this point of a time. But across the country, the walk-ins are good. The consumer spending mood continues. And many sectors are reporting good profits. And I come across every industry talking about this is the greatest period they are witnessing after 3 or 4 years of time. So therefore, employment generation or the bonuses, salaries, everything should be good. I anticipate the festival season to be a remarkable one.
Interesting. Just wondering though, I mean, and before I get to that, this strong or this relatively strong performance in the first half of the current quarter, is it largely due to recovery in the room air conditioner market, or is it got to do with what you mentioned at the end of the first answer, which is that inquiry flows into what I believe is large corporate inquiries for aircon solutions? Has that come in to help you?
Two, three reasons. Number one, I must not fail in guiding you properly. Last year, post-July was a GST recovery period. So compared with that, it should be doing well. So that is the first part of the story. The second part I told you is the penetration issue, where more and more people have to buy at some point of a time. They probably didn't buy during summer, and post-summer they feel the need to. Third is good monsoon will always result in tier 3-4 towns having positive outlook, beginning to spend and acquire things. So therefore that should be the third reason. And going forward, this trend should continue. I think the flood related issue, I pray that it is limited to Kerala at this point of a time. If the monsoon pans out to complete till September, tier 3, 4, 5 markets across India should be doing well.
Are we okay? One more question though on pricing before we get to the outlook. How has pricing been? Because if I'm not wrong, you raised prices by about 4 to 6% in quarter 3. I don't quite have updates. Quarter 3 of FY18. I don't quite have updates after that. Have you raised prices even further? Are you looking to do that because of what you believe will be a remarkable festive season?
Actually, it was post-January in quarter 4, the prices were increased to 4 to 6%. By July 1, we should have increased the prices further in order to take care of the commodity prices. But actually, the situation is, because you know the industry carried around 2 months of inventory more. Therefore, I don't think price increase is an option at all. The good news is only, it's a silver lining, that the inventory that was bought was at, when the rupee was somewhere around 66 or 67. So to that extent, there is a consolation. So therefore, I do not think the competitive environment will permit you to increase the prices. Because it's a question of liquidating the inventory fast, isn't it?
It is. Well, that was the other concern. A brokerage note, Mr. Thiagarajan mentioned that the inventory in the pipeline is very strong. What you are saying about a strong first half of the current quarter is slightly at crossroads with what the channel checks of brokerages seem to suggest for the industry. Could it be the case that while you've had a good first half, the industry may not have had so because of the higher inventory in the pipeline that still exists?
I would attribute this to our share of business from institutional segment is very high actually. So the corporate, commercial, light commercial segments are doing extremely well. There is capacity expansion taking place, and I am telling you that we have not witnessed this kind of inquiry inflow. Whether it is factories, offices, hotels, restaurants, retail, we are seeing activity across the sectors. So there is a capacity building that is going on in the marketplace. So our institutional segment share is very high. That should be the reason. But then when we are talking about growth, we are talking with regard to the previous period. So therefore, it could be varying from brand to brand. My outlook actually is, even though the summer was weak, the overall market for the industry still it should be around 10% growth the full financial year. I am of the opinion one should keep sight of that rather than one particular month or one particular quarter. Whether FY19 the market would have grown at least 10% over FY18. Earlier our prediction was it should grow by 20%. It is not going to take place. And 10 to 15% still there is a possibility. It all depends on February, March how it will be.
Interesting.
And I am of the opinion market for the full year will never degrow. It is going to be a growth.
Interesting. Some very nice confident statements. I just have one last question, Mr. Thiagarajan. Somebody who's an investor in one of the cooling solutions company was speaking about the penetration levels, and he said that while that number at 4% seems low, if you factually look at the nature of the penetration, it's one air conditioner per house in that 4%. If you look at houses which are maybe 2 BHKs or 3 BHKs, then we haven't even touched or scratched that 4% mark, because per house the penetration also remains under-penetrated in a meaningful way. Would you look at that industry that way, and therefore would you believe that there are multiple years of this 10, 15, 20% growth numbers CAGR for the next few years possible for the cooling solution companies?
But it's a good statement. One have been predicting like this, that today the market size would have reached some 6 million units. China is somewhere around 85 million units. Actually, we should be lagging behind China by around 10-year period. So if 2008 market size of China itself we have not achieved, our goal when we do a calculation for refrigerant policy making or the energy efficiency, etc., we assumed that by 2018 we would have touched 10 million mark. It has not happened. There is some kind of way in which Indian markets operate, but I have a feeling there will be a window of 3 to 4 years time. There should be exponential growth that should be taking place. It is at that point of a time even the prices should come down because of scale. Once in 2 years the energy efficiency norms are being revised, that pushes up the prices. The for example, this year what you are selling as 3-star was 5-star in the month of December. By 2020 there could be another energy label change, which means the price levels are being pushed up due to this particular feature alone.
Right.
But having said this, there is you have to play a right balance between how we achieve energy efficiency or sustainability norms in terms of refrigerants, at the same time grow the domestic market so that we become globally competitive. I think the scale will be the solution. I indeed believe that between now and 2025 there should be phenomenal growth. That's why I'm saying even though the summer was washed out, for a full year period the market will still grow. And right. I have no doubt about it at all. Be it room air conditioners or deep freezers, cold rooms, these product categories in which operate, they have promising potential.
Okay, we wish you all the best for that, and we'll look forward to talking to you post your Q2 numbers as well.
Thank you
it
very
promises
much.
to be a strong quarter. We look forward to chatting to you then. Thanks so much, Mr. Thiagarajan.